Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Events Announcements. My name is Eugene Ramanenko. I'm still your crypto MC, and please welcome my today's VIP guest. He's from Bahrain, from Persian Gulf. He's Narayanan Ganapathy, CFA, the CEO of Angivest Ventures, and he also will be the distinguished speaker at the Chainpoint conference hosted by the Russian and Armenian Blockchain Nord Association in Yerevan, Crypto Armenia, in October 14 and 15. Narayanan, it's a great pleasure now to have you on the interview.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Eugene, and good day.
For those who may be not familiar with you, could you please give us a bit intro, tell about yourself, and what are you working on right now in the blockchain industry?
Sure. So Eugene, my background has essentially been that of investment banking. So in my previous life, I've been an investment banker, having worked for several financial institutions, both in the Middle East and in the UK. I stepped into this glamorous startup world, so to speak, about a little over 2 years ago, where I set up Angivest Ventures along with a partner of mine here in Bahrain, with the intention of investing in very early stage ventures globally. And at the time, we didn't really have any particular focus on blockchain. But as we started looking at various startups around the world, I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley. And as a result, a lot of our investments are in the US. We took note of what's really going on in blockchain. And for a good part of 2018, for the first half of 2018, we ended up evaluating tons and tons of white papers, particularly when the ICO frenzy was really happening. That's really what opened our eyes to what blockchain is about, because like a lot of people, we came in with the perception that it is only to do with crypto, but we did realize that the use cases can be a lot wider, and the underlying technology can be used by a lot of verticals. So we have invested in, of the 8 investments that we have made, one of the investments is leveraged the blockchain technology, which is in the education technology space, where the company is essentially solving for the problem of motivation, trust, and economy by leveraging blockchain, by putting the certifications earned by people who complete courses onto the blockchain and issuing certificates which can be considered trustworthy. That said, we are also working on a startup of our own in the financial technology space. And we are working with one of the regulators here in the region, which is also leveraging blockchain technology to a great extent, where the intention is to bring in an element of tokenization for issuance of equity by private companies. So that is something which we've been working on over the last 4 to 5 months, and very soon we will be launching that entity.
Well, thank you for that very interesting intro. I always try to ask speakers from different countries about the crypto shapes or crypto sites or even crypto insights of their countries. So I call it crypto Armenia, crypto Russia, crypto China, and so on. The Middle East is a very, very, very interesting region with strong British past, but its own history during last 70 years, for example, after the Second World War. So Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and so on, these countries. Could you say, please, could you give us a bit intro? What is Crypto Middle East? We know that crypto events in Dubai, for example, are being conducted. We know that. Could you please give us a bit intro? What is Crypto Middle East? What specifically is going on? What things are specifically going on in Bahrain, in nearest countries, in the Middle East, in the whole, in the blockchain, regarding blockchain?
Sure. Look, Eugene, I was quite pleasantly surprised to actually see that when we looked at the top 10 countries that have raised money through token sales in 2019. The first quarter of 2019, I was pleasantly surprised to see the UAE featuring in the top 10 or perhaps the top 5. I think they raised somewhere like $210 million, and they were well ahead of even the US and the United Kingdom. I think those resulted from mainly issuances of tokens by two entities, one of them in the banking and insurance products, and the other was to facilitate investments in real estate and crypto mining. So the Middle East is taking playing a very active role in promoting the entire region to adopt cryptocurrencies widely. And what I also learned is the fact that there is a lot of interest from international players on the wider blockchain element, where and this is public news, right? The Ethereum Foundation is trying to partner with financial expert in the Persian Gulf to perhaps invest into a product which is Ethereum based and that has an Islamic angle to it. So they've kind of got some sort of advice on the platform, Ethereum platform itself being compatible to Islamic law. So that if it does go forward, that would be a pretty significant breakthrough, because the financial services folks, the investor community out here, who like to invest a lot in the Islamic space, they will be able to leverage blockchain. So those are some of the trends that we see in the Middle East. And lastly, I'd like to talk about the regulatory landscape, because Middle East, as you know, the financial services is one of the key sectors that drives the economies out here, other than oil and gas, of course. So for the financial sector to take shape and leverage blockchain technology, it's absolutely imperative for regulators to take the lead, because the investors get the confidence only if they see regulators approving of certain aspects related to blockchain, and in particular crypto. And because of the stigma attached to the ICOs that we saw in 2018, with a lot of skepticism, with ICOs being viewed with a lot of skepticism, it was absolutely essential for regulators to come in and start issuing guidances, laws, regulations that allow industry participants to come out with products which leverage the blockchain technology, which would be used by consumers. So to that extent, like Abu Dhabi Global Markets, if you take as an example, they issued guidance on digital securities. The Central Bank of Bahrain has worked on recently, coming up about 6 months ago, regulations on crypto assets, which includes trading, advisory, hedging, etc., and portfolio management of financial products. And even the Dubai Financial Services Authority are working very actively in coming up with regulations to regulate digital securities. So we are going to see a lot of democratization of investment, so to speak, in the financial services space in the region.
Well, I want to ask you about the oil and gas factor. We know that the countries where economies are strongly related to the resource, they are suffering from resource disease, like Russia, for example. Is that problem exist for small country named Bahrain, which the part of the economy is oil and gas too?
I'd say no. Bahrain, as compared to the rest of the GCC, is not relied on oil and gas, particularly if you look at Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi. And if you look at the last few decades, Bahrain's actually positioned itself as more of a leader or a financial hub of the region. Dating back to the early 80s, you'd see a lot of offshore banks having been set up in Bahrain to serve the neighboring countries. And I think that trend has continued to this date, with the government very actively promoting innovation with a lot of emphasis being made in developing the ecosystem to promote, startups and entrepreneurship within the country. And in addition, the country is also well geared towards adopting and developing systems and products that leverage blockchain technology. So I'd say, in a nutshell, my answer to your question would be no. I wouldn't really say there's a resource disease.
Well, that's a great. It confirms the trend that if the country is smaller, then it's more progressive in adoption technologies. Is there any competition between Bahrain, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates, like small progressive countries for capitals, or they are running as partners in Persian Gulf? That's the question.
I think we are living in a world of co-opetition, aren't we? Where it is cooperation with competitors, essentially. So I'd say a bit of competition definitely does exist, but it's very hard for a single country to kind of say that we're going to do everything by ourselves. So there is a fair reliance on partnership and cooperation. And we do see that happening in the regulatory space, in the industry, amongst financial services, if you take that as an example, with institutions from one country partnering with another and leveraging each other's technologies, the regulatory landscape, as well as the market. So I'd say the Middle East is characterized more by co-opetition.
Well, I love that answer. Sorry, I've forgotten to mention another small country, Kuwait. Now I'm looking to our map. So it's a very interesting region. So we need to explore Middle East more and more. Let's go back to Crypto Armenia. Why did you decide to share your ideas and experience at the Chainpoint conference in Yerevan?
Well, I do attend a lot of conferences taking place in the region and outside. Like 2 weeks ago, I was in this conference in Turkey called Takeoff Istanbul. One of the key advantages I see is we're living in this day and age of information where we can pretty much find whatever we learn in conferences by browsing the net, right? There's really nothing new that we are, in terms of content, going to learn if we were to take or apply the same effort to Google and search the net and so on. But I see as a key advantage of participating in such conferences and sharing ideas is to really build that personal connection with industry participants. So clearly, when I look at the Chainpoint 19 website and the speakers that are coming, their backgrounds, the topics that are going to be covered, and the range of topics that are going to be discussed, by sharing my experiences, what I have learned and what we propose to do, I do see a lot of possibilities to be able to develop meaningful, sustainable connections with a number of people to not only benefit ourselves in terms of what we are doing, but also to perhaps contribute to what their objectives are. So that's really one of the key benefits of such conferences, isn't it?
Yeah.
And other than that, it's also, networking is absolutely essential. And because this is a conference which is so concentrated on blockchain, and in particular topics such as developing a crypto exchange in Estonia, or blockchain use cases and social impact and so on, there is a lot of commonalities between our investment philosophy and what is going to be covered in the conference.
Well, I totally agree with you. I was 50 speakers from more than 20 different countries will be gathered by the beginner Narayanan and his brilliant blockchain association team, and they will be covering a huge range of topics in the blockchain industry. And what you, Narayanan, specifically will be speaking about? What issues and topics will you be speaking about in Yerevan?
I'm slotted to be on a panel which is going to be discussing a topic on the economy of tomorrow. which is a very interesting topic. It's quite a wide topic, to be honest, but it is really intriguing, particularly because today we are living in a hyper-connected world, with rapidly changing lifestyles, values, beliefs, behavior, and the impact of technology in our lives and in our businesses and in the economy is pretty challenging to kind of foresee beyond a particular point in time in future, right? So you can't really predict with reasonable accuracy what's going to happen even 6 months down the line. So that really gets me exciting, and I very much look forward to participating in this panel discussion. So there are various forces that are governing the future economy, right? So for instance, if we were to look at the top 5 or 10 companies by market cap, literally just 4 or 5 years ago, perhaps there was only 1 or 2 tech companies in the top 10. But today, if you look at it, the Facebooks and the Amazons and the Apples and the Microsofts and the Alphabets, all are there in the top 10. So increasingly, the world has clearly moved from the physical world to the tech world, or as they call it, from atoms to bytes. That kind of makes one think as to where are all of these factors really going to meet going forward. And I very much look forward to being part of that panel to kind of discuss, the tech element, the evolution of money, the changing wealth landscape, which is really the fintech that we are planning to launch on. And I'd be very keen to understand the perspective of my, fellow panelists.
Well, it sounds great. As one of the speakers of Chainpoint has said in an interview, we are 7.5 billion inhabitants of planet Earth are sitting in one crypto boat and are facing the same reality, and everyone would understand where is he personally moving on and what is his personal destination. So we'll try to understand with this with your help. So, Narayanan, what are the main trends in the blockchain industry worldwide right now from your viewpoint? Can you explain us?
Worldwide, if we look at trends, I mean, from an use case perspective, I do see financial services already using blockchain significantly, right? And we've also seen cryptos, the latest one with Libra being very much in the news. And also, there are companies that have leveraged the blockchain technology for education, payment rails, and it's really limitless, to be honest, because so long as there is any particular use case that is going to benefit from immutability, transparency, cryptography, and openness and speed, blockchain's right there. So I think in terms of trend, I'd say every single vertical that one can potentially conceive of, one could leverage blockchain, really.
Well, I think you will be one of the most popular speakers of the Chainpoint. I'm looking forward to meet you personally in Yerevan. And finally, whom will you recommend to visit Chainpoint conference in Yerevan? What type of person will mostly benefit from attending this conference?
I'd say if we look at the range of topics that are being covered in the conference, the verticals that are being covered are like healthcare, there's fintech, there's social impact investing, and there is crypto. So all of those participants who are involved in any of those verticals are definitely going to benefit. From a functional standpoint, I'd say there is definitely the entrepreneur and the founder community that are definitely going to stand to gain, having attended this conference and heard from various industry participants. And as investors ourselves, we hope to pick up a lot of trends to be able to spot those interesting investment ideas that could potentially help us allocate our funds to the right channels. And the other participants in the ecosystem, like government representatives or academicians, all of those are definitely going to benefit because we're all going to be able to exchange views from our respective perspectives so that the others are able to see and leverage off.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to meet personally this experienced and educated gentleman, Narayanan Ganapathy from Bahrain, please attend the Chainpoint conference in Yerevan in Crypto Armenia on October 14 and 15 and use the promo code Armenia CP19 for a 20% discount. By the way, we can also meet with you at other events this fall, so check cryptomc.com and find a list of events and promo codes written there. Subscribe my Facebook page and YouTube channel, and stay tuned for next speaker's interview. Narayanan Ganapathy, CFA from Bahrain, Angivest Ventures, and user Armenian with you. Thank you for watching. Let's meet in October 14 and 15 and the Chainpoint conference in Yerevan, Crypto Armenia. Stay tuned, stay crypto, and thank you very much, Narayanan, and look forward to see you in Yerevan, to meet you in Yerevan.
Thank you, Eugene. Look forward to seeing you there.